The following are my opinions only. Hi, this is the first time I'm doing a spoken video, and it does feel a little bit awkward. Finding arguments is difficult, and I was always afraid of ending up a slave of chasing content just to please an algorithm. And I don't feel happy about abusing the power of monologues. That's just not for my taste. So why am I starting now? Well, I published an album, and I printed it on the most expensive medium, the vinyl, 180 grams, biocompound, gatefold, with an 8-page booklet full of photography. I thought at length about why anyone would embark into an expensive journey with very dubious results. But then, when the first copy arrived, there was a certain magic that materialized in front of me, something concrete, real and tangible. In this day and age, this seems to me the most premium of all experiences. The process of recording was complex, since I decided to put together the whole band. I am an atheist, yes, but it did feel a bit like I was on mission for God. The album was actually recorded at least 3 times, while putting together the songs, while creating the temporary track for my drummer, and while doing the real take after the drums were finished. We didn't do all of it remotely. I had a couple of opportunities to fly over and get in the recording studio with Marco and with my brother. I also put together a band here in Hamburg that, even if they unfortunately didn't participate in the final project, it was essential to understand how to develop these songs and what type of changes they needed. The process of creating this album was long, however, even if the actual recording was quite fast, all considered. It took the best part of 5 years to compose these songs, with some of them even dated back 2015, the ones that defined the theme of this album. I think the real process started at some point where I realized that I had more than just a couple of disjoint songs, and I wanted to say something. I'll probably do another video to explain my processes better, and see, I'm now finding arguments. But like I typically like to do with all my music, this album is loosely a concept album. It is, in essence, a story of people who flee. The songs aren't necessarily following one single coherent story, and the fact I've been working with my brother on the lyrics means there is a certain ambiguity, because each one of us has things to say, even though he was well aware of the general theme that I wanted to cover. Ultimately, it will be up to you as a listener to close your eyes and let these songs be yours, be your story. In my version of this story, their common theme is about migration and all its implications, such as loss and renunciation, grief and fear, but also, quite definitely, love. This is an album about people who have to face what is called the journey. We refer to them as immigrants, illegals, aliens, and a number of other very disgraceful terms started to make them less real, to blur their faces, and to dehumanize them. I don't think we should stay silent here, especially today. Not anymore. These stories must be told, and we should all be very disgusted with our governments and by the hypocrisy around our asylum policies. I know this isn't a simple discussion. Yes, there are many problems, certainly there are cultural barriers, but I refuse to think that the answers lies in disgraceful terms like repatriations or border control, and not in a more powerful word, integration. Europe was built around the concept of integration. Why we forgot this? And by the way, fuck Frontex, AfD, and the fascists. Migration should be embraced as the ultimate beauty of humanity because it brings culture, diversity, and progress. People simply move. We should cherish this, not fight against it. In the album, there are 2 stories that are very specific and hit me very, very strongly. One song is called September, but it was originally called The Red Vest, because it was noticed the mother crossing the Mediterranean Sea in fortune boat will often dress their children with a red cloth. When asked, survivors will just say that in the darkness of the sea, red stands out. One has to stop and think very profoundly what has happened if a mother decides that having their 2-year-old child crossing the water is safer than staying behind, and climb this hope to our scarf. So this song is dedicated and in an abstract way is about Alan Courtney. If you don't know this name, you should be prepared if you decide to look him up. It will be very difficult. There is another song called Samia, dedicated and about Samia Yusuf Omar, which was a Somali athlete, and she had wings on her feet. She participated to the Olympic Games in China in 2008 as a sprinter. She arrived last, but surprisingly all the stadium was inside her and screaming her name. Her dream was to participate to the Olympic Games in London in 2012. But because Samia was a woman with a freedom in her heart, she was targeted by the Al-Shabaab, constantly harassed, until her father, who told her to never be afraid, was killed. And then Samia left. Her story was narrated in a book and in a graphic novel, and was an inspiration for my album. The motivation to bring it on vinyl was for me because, at my age, I really wanted a release that was physical, not just on Bandcamp. I wanted to have something real and tangible that I can give to my kids, and I asked them to work with me. There are a couple of cameos where they helped me, and I'm so proud. A physical copy with a booklet with pictures I made over time, and I understand why there is such a resurgence of the vinyl medium. So the point I'm trying to make here, I guess, is that I like this to be a real album because of all of that, and because I think these stories needed to be told. I needed to do this. The experience to make music with my brother Massimiliano, who helped me with writing the songs and plays and sings, and my friend Marco, who plays drums, was unique. And it got us back to a time where we were young and crazy, and we used to do music and it was fun. And it was good music. And I think we did some good music here as well, and I hope you'll think the same of it. Thank you for getting this far with me. Take care of yourself, and please remember, you do matter.